In 2015, PACSA's 36th year of existence, we continued our mission of working towards a just society where all people live in dignity. This was done in a challenging context, characterized by high levels of socio-economic inequality and a deepening affordability crisis of basic household goods. Yet, the work highlighted in this video attests to the advances that ordinary people, on the basis of their own choices and strategies, are making towards the social change they desire.
In 2015, we accompanied 18 grassroots community groups in their struggle towards socio-economic justice.
PACSA also acts in its own name to build social justice activism. We reach out to the broader public to grow consciousness and support for justice issues. An important campaign PACSA participated in was a campaign to stop the 25% increase in electricity tariffs demanded by Eskom.
I'm here because I really feel the 25.3% is going to impact on the poorest of the poor, and there is not enough money to pay for this anymore. And Eskom needs to get its house in order and find another way.
Ngalo gesi okuthiwa uyakhuphwa ngalo 25%, asivumelani nako. Ngani? Ngoba sihola impesheni. Kule mpesheni akekho osebenzayo. Ngiphethe ukuthi ngifundise izingane, ngithenga ukudla, umasingcwabisane. So izovelaphi ke le engizokwazi ukuthenga ugesi? Okuchaza ukuthi ke manje siyehluleka ukuthenga ugesi. Asingeke sikhone nakancane ngaphandle.
Domestic residents are not the biggest user of electricity in South Africa. The biggest users of electricity in South Africa are our huge industries. Domestic residents use very, very little, around 12 to 15% of electricity. And most households today are already using as little as possible because they can't afford to pay. So the fault does not lie in anything that we as citizens are doing. The fault really lies in terms of how Eskom is managing its money and in terms of how industry itself takes most of South Africa's electricity.
We hosted 4 roundtable discussions. These focused on social issues prominent in the public domain at the time. These were a national minimum wage for South Africa, racism, poverty, and gender inequality.
In April 2015, we again saw the horrible face of xenophobia in our province and city. PACSA joined a number of faith-based NGOs in a campaign to state clearly our opposition to xenophobia and to create safe spaces for those who were living in fear. In December, we continued this message in an international symposium in Basel, Switzerland.
I was wondering, you actually responded to a question saying that you do not, or maybe only on a very, you have personal connections with somebody who is actually friendly to your cause. Now, is that just lucky? Would you be working with a municipality? How would you, because you don't seem to be working so much through, with politicians either. Where do you see the solution?
Hard to say. I think, in any kind of context such as South Africa today, I suppose anywhere else in the world, we have to be strategic. And I think the issue is about strategy. And if a particular political figure you can work with a particular political figure because there's some level of integrity, then of course we would do so. So when people say, well, would you work with government? Our standard response is, it depends. It depends on the issue. It depends on the receptivity of the issue. It depends on the level of integrity. And it depends also on personalities, in the sense that does this person have integrity or does this person not? In a way of leading us to a process, is it going to be a waste of time or not? So it depends. On the other hand, so that's as far as strategy. On the other hand, we see our role very much as building and supporting the emergence of other centers of power. So the political parties are centers of power, but doesn't have to be the only centers of power in a democracy or so. There can be other centers of power. And so we spend a lot of our time working with grassroots-based organizations, who works on the principle of democracy within that groups. We work with the principle of solidarity, and take a clear position against exclusion. And so we believe that these groups can become centers of power. And in cases where they are growing in their power, they get to a stage where they can begin to renegotiate with the political parties.
The issue of racism featured prominently in our public discourse. In order to explore this at a deeper level, we produced a short documentary, Racism in Maritzburg, Voices from the Streets.
A group of Indians will stick to its own and a group of Africans will stick to its own, which means people are not really, at this point in time, they have not really gelled racially.
The 6th edition of the PACSA Film and Arts Festival, a social justice awareness and mobilization event, was held in October 2015. The theme, Imagine We All Belong Here, explored the concept of belonging and invited the festival participants to imagine a richer sense of belonging.
Yeah, I think the role of art is to entertain, I think, firstly, but also to educate and to, I mean, it sounds quite trite, but to hold those in power to account and to challenge authority and, kind of make, in cartooning, the satire we try and do is to make government and other players aware of policies they're putting forth and the repercussions thereof, and also to get people, I guess, to inspire people to take action and to feel like they have some role in what's going on.
We strengthened the synergy between our research, advocacy, and communications. This increased our ability to influence the broad public and opinion makers to support the causes of social justice and development.
This is a conversation I wanted to have earlier in the week, and then we ran out of time, so we didn't have it. But it's, I think, potentially a very interesting conversation. We have a situation in South Africa we always have a situation in South Africa where there are wage talks, and those wage talks almost never go well. There are often strikes. There are always threats of strike. Mervyn Abrams is on the line to us now from Pietermaritzburg, Director of PACSA, which stands for the Pietermaritzburg Agency for Community Social Action. Mervyn, a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, John, and to all your listeners in the beautiful Cape.
You don't believe, yeah, it is actually beautiful at the moment. You don't believe that the CPI is in any way a valid measure by which to determine what wage increases should be?
John, we, as far as PACSA is concerned, we do not believe that the CPI in our current context is a valid basis for wage negotiation. And the reason for that is that wages are so low already and with high levels of inequality that the CPI in fact does not capture the expenditure patterns of most workers.
Ruth Smith's main source of income is a pensioner's grant. Just over 1,300 rand.
It's just quite difficult because what's pension money? Pension money is nothing. You must pay your rent, you must pay your lights, and then my daughter to shops, we buy food and everything.
With just 500 rand to spare for food every month, Smith struggles to make ends meet. The 71-year-old supports her daughter and 4 camera-shy grandchildren. And if food prices continue to climb, she could be forced to cross off everyday items like bread and meat from her grocery list.
We'll have to buy less of the tin stuffs. Maybe we'll have to just buy 1 tin of fish, 1 tin of baked beans, and all that.
Smith's daily struggle is one that more than half of all South Africans share.
As food becomes more and more expensive, people opt for cheaper and cheaper foods. This trend we have seen for a number of years, and we have come to the stage where even the cheaper choices of foods have now become unaffordable.
NGO PACSA says the cost of an average basket of food products went up from just over 1,500 rand to 1,640 rand in September this year. And the price of starches, such as potatoes, maize meal, and bread increased the most.
If we locate the problem as a problem of availability, then the solution lies within agriculture. But if the problem is a problem of affordability, then the solution lies in our economics and our political choices.
We decided to test PACSA's findings. The result?
Your total is 1,760. Okay,
thank you. While some South Africans don't flinch when it comes to paying the bill, for others, items like these are simply out of their reach.
Okay.
Judith Subban, Durban.
We thank all those who collaborated with us in 2015 and made our work possible.